If you're someone that constantly feels soreness in their lower back after deadlifting with a barbell, you're probably doing these things wrong with your deadlift. Stay tuned to find out. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Ryan with Precision Fitness Physical Therapy, and today we're going to learn how to deadlift without having soreness or pain in your lower back. All right, let's break this down into 3 main steps. When you approach the bar, you want to make sure that you're set up appropriately so that your back is in a proper position to accept weight. So a lot of people have been told, don't round your back when you're deadlift, you have to be completely straight. That depends on your size and your mobility. So someone like me, I'm a little bit smaller, I have good mobility in my legs. I should be able to deadlift keeping my back very straight in the initial setup. Someone that's really tall and has longer femurs or longer legs, they might have a little bit of rounding in their back to reach all the way to the floor at the very bottom of their deadlift. But in general, you want your back to not be moving through a large range of motion when you deadlift, and learn how to hinge from your hips. So I like to use a dowel rod to explain this concept to people. So this should be touching your tailbone, your mid back, and your head. And as I go down to approach the bar, this should stay on my back the whole time. So a lot of people, what you'll see is when they go to lift at that bar, this would come away from their tailbone, which would mean that they're rounding that back. And as they lift that weight, they're going to stand up through their chest first, and their lower back is going to be what extends first, meaning all of the load from that barbell is going to go here, and we don't want that. So what you want to learn first is how to hinge from your hip. So to do a simple RDL, you're going to slightly bend your knees. We're going to stick your butt back until you feel your hamstrings load while keeping all 3 points of contact on this dowel rod. And then you're going to stand back up. You're going to repeat that and just get comfortable going in and out of this position. This is just a plain RDL where we're loading those hamstrings with a slight bend in the knee and then straightening. This is learning how to hinge about the hip and not the chest. So there's no spinal movement here. As I'm going forward and backward, you don't see any rounding of that back. Now, we're going to take that same concept and we're going to apply it to the full deadlift. So we're going to take this PVC here. We're going to keep all 3 points of contact. We're going to slightly bend the knees. We're going to go into that RDL. But as soon as I start to feel tension on those hamstrings, then I am going to bend at the knees. But I want to try to keep my shins perpendicular to the ground. Once my knees start going over my toes, that becomes more of a squat, and then the bar goes further away from you, you're more likely to round your back. If I keep my knees back as they start to bend, then I'm going to load my posterior chain, my hamstrings more, and it will protect my back, keeping the bar closer to me. You want to make sure that the bar is as close to your shins as you can get it. Then in the bottom position, you are going to straighten your knees a little bit. You're going to push them backwards until your shins are about perpendicular to the ground. This is where if you're really tall, you might not be able to get your shins completely perpendicular to the ground, but most people should. From that position, shins perpendicular to the ground. Now I feel tension here, and it automatically straightens my back out a little bit. Then if you are in front of me, you should be able to read the part of the logo on my chest. So I'm not going to be completely upright, but I'm also not facing the ground like this. My shoulders are over top of the bar, and the bar is over top of the laces on my shoes, the tongue of my shoe, and in front of the ankle. So there should be a clear line between my shoulders, hips, and the barbell. That's the initial setup. All right, now we've got those 2 steps out of the way. We're going to talk about step number 3, which is bracing your core and putting pre-tension on the bar. So to brace your core properly, you're going to take your hands in between your rib and your hip, and you're going to press out so you can see my hands physically moving as I put tension into my core, and muscle fills that web space of my hand. So I'm going to press out. I should still be able to talk. I should still be able to breathe and have a conversation with someone next to me while keeping tension there. That's especially important when you're deadlifting at higher volume or during a workout, that you're not losing that core tension. So once you have that core properly braced, then we're going to put pre-tension on the bar. So to put pre-tension on the bar, you want to think about bending the bar away from you. So you're going to take the crease of your elbow in that bottom position, and you're going to turn it towards the bar, and think about pulling the bar in or bending the bar away is going to engage your lats and keep that spine nice and straight. So what that looks like in the bottom, you're going to hear the barbell click on the weight. So I should get that click. I have tension. I feel my hamstrings engaged. I feel my core engaged. I feel my lats engaged. I'm in a straight neutral spine position, and I'm pressing into the floor, but the weight has not come up off the ground yet. That's really important, because creating that pre-tension is what protects your spine and builds that pressure in your abdomen, so that you're not doing a quick jerk movement, which is going to lose that good spine positioning. And that's where people tend to lift like this, as if they're a bear pooping in the woods. So putting all of those 3 steps together, we learned how to hinge from the hip, not from your back. We learned how to set yourself up at the barbell with a straight spine with your knees back. And then we learned how to brace your core. So putting that all together, that looks like this, where my shins are perpendicular. I have tension in my hamstrings here. My back is in a straight line. I put pre-tension, heard that bar click, my lats are engaged, and then I stand from my hips and my chest at the same time. On the way down, I'm hinging from the hip, bending the knees, but not letting the knees come forward. That is a great deadlift. A not great deadlift, as I come forward, I'm gonna let my back round and my knees are gonna come forward. That weight goes forward, so does my back. That is what we want to avoid.